Social Security changes everything. You can probably retire sooner than you think. Everybody thinks they have to have $1 million. Let me show you some actual numbers. What we do on this channel is use the actual returns for the S&P 500 for the last 100 years, which includes the devastating depression years. But watch what happens when we actually run the numbers using these numbers. Here's the actual sheet that we're going to use. Let's say you're way short of the $1 million. Let's just say you have $600,000. You're thinking, man, how much longer do I have to work before I can retire? Because I really need, let's say you need $54,000 a year, which would be $4,500 a month. Here's the $4,500 a month. There's a $54,000. Let's say you're going to do a 60-40 asset allocation in your retirement, and let's say you plan on needing a 3% COLA to try to keep up with inflation. And what we want to do is actually run the numbers to show you where you might be. Again, there's 600,000. You need 4,500 a month, 54,000. That'd be 80% of somebody making 67,500, which is pretty much the average wage today for American household. So we're going to try to shoot for the 4,500 a month. Let's see how many times in the last 100 years you would run out of money. Folks, that's a 9% withdrawal rate. So that's way above the 4% rule. That's even above the Dave Ramsey's 8% rule. And you're going to see, yeah, if you run those numbers, 600,000, and you need 9% of that each year, you're going to run out of money 80% of the time. Look at that. This is the actual graph. This is when you're running out of money down below zero. This is when you have some good years and ended up being above zero. But folks, what are we not taking into account? Again, we haven't taken into account Social Security. Let's go ahead and run the numbers with Social Security and watch how this changes. Again, you don't need 4,500 from your nest egg if you're getting 2,000 from Social Security. I think the average Social Security was 1976 or something. Let's just make it easy, 2,000. Now, instead of needing 4,500 a month from your nest egg, you only need 2,500 or 30,000 from your nest egg. Let's go ahead and run these numbers now and see how this 80% is drastically going to change. Why? Because we're going from a 9% withdrawal rate to a 5% withdrawal rate. Again, that's above the 4% rule, but watch what happens. Again, we're doing the 60-40 split, 3% COLA, and we're updating this for every single year. Now you have a 6% failure rate. What a difference. Don't forget to take into account Social Security, because then we run the numbers using the data for the last 100 years. You only have problems in 1929 and around the year 2000. Again, what was going on? The Depression years. We also had a bad decade in the 2000s. Those are the only two times in the last 100 years you would have a problem, your money not lasting 30 years. In fact, in this case, 94% of the time it lasts 20 years, 85% and almost 86% of the time it lasts 30 years, given these numbers. But folks, watch what happens if we just do one more scenario. Again, the whole point is people are trying to think, I don't have enough money saved. I only have 600,000. I need to get to that $1 million mark. For some reason, that's psychologically ingrained in us that you need to have that kind of money, especially if you need this kind of money in expenses. But watch what happens if we just change one thing. How about after a negative year, after the market goes down, you don't give yourself a 3% COLA? Watch what happens if we just make that minor change. What that means is after good years, you give yourself a 3% COLA. After down years in the S&P 500, you don't give yourself a COLA at all. You can see the COLAs going down through here based on what's happening in the market right here. We see 1932 numbers going down through here. Let's go ahead and update this. We're staying with this 5% withdrawal rate, but we're changing the COLA from 3% to no COLA. See if this changes the 6% much. Again, it's recalculating for every single, you got folks, 0% of the time. Look at the difference that made. Just don't forget Social Security. That's the key to everything. Otherwise, people keep working because they think, well, 600,000, it's not going to work for me, because that's like a 9% withdrawal rate. But even at a 5% withdrawal rate, if you just don't take a COLA after negative years, it actually works out every single time. The only time it wouldn't work out is after 20 years. It looks like 1929 numbers. We go right here, you can see you're running out of money just after 20 years. And 1930 numbers, you're running out of money just a little bit after that. But every other scenario is just fine. If you're not comfortable with the 1929 numbers, you could just change that. Look at 1929, and we just changed actually in taking a no COLA to a negative COLA. Go down here a little bit farther. Looks like if you take a, these are 1929 numbers going with, I was just looking for the red boxes there. It looks like if you just took a negative COLA, if you'd run into a stretch, folks, this has only happened once in the last 100 years. We had 4 down years. That's what would fix it. If you first retire and keep having year after year, just take a negative COLA of 3% and look how your money would last. 1930 numbers, let's go back to, we had no COLA, money running out a little after 20 years, -1 COLA and a -2 COLA. Looks like that's all you have to do. And again, folks, we're looking at the worst case scenario. But I think people are working way longer than they really need to because they've been scared into thinking, I don't have near $1 million. I'm not going to be able to make it. These are the kind of numbers I need. I need like 54,000 a year, which is again is 80% of somebody making 67,500. And lots of people are saying you don't even need 80%. You go down like 60%, which changes all these numbers even more that you can retire early. Don't forget Social Security. Just want people to understand that you don't have to work near as long as you might think. If you remember that Social Security changes everything. Folks, that's what we do on this channel. We run numbers for people. We set up different spreadsheets. We just show you what the different numbers would look like. And we use actual returns for the last 100 years. We look at all these different financial concepts and we run numbers, take into account each one of these variables, and we go ahead and change the variables accordingly. In this case, we had the 60-40 asset allocation. We had the 3% COLA and changed your COLA over here. We kind of adapted to what might work out if you start out with negative years. But again, please consider subscribing. Please share this channel with others so they can learn these kind of concepts. There's so many videos I put out. Don't forget to check out all the different ones that have been that I put out lately. This just show you all these different concepts so you have a better grasp of what your future might look like. Don't work any longer than you need to.